All right, my fifth graders, this lesson is all about adding fractions. Now, they're fractions that have unlike denominators. Last year, hopefully you remember you did things like 1/6 plus 2/6. They both have the same denominator, so we just add the numerators and we get 3/6. Well, now in fifth grade, it gets a bit harder because we are going to be doing ones where the denominators are different. So just like when we were doing comparing and ordering fractions, we need to find a common denominator. And let me show you why. Because here's your first assignment, or your adding fractions assignment. So the first one is 2/3 plus 1/4. Now, if you look on here, I've put the strips out. So 2/3 and 1/4. Well, if I just add those together and say, okay, I have 3 pieces, but how would I describe to someone how big the pieces are? Okay, because I can't just say I have 3 tenths if you just add the denominators, because 3/10 is that much. So that doesn't work. So that's why we have to find pieces that are the same with the same denominator and write some equivalent fractions. So if I think about the steps, first I find a common denominator, then I'll write equivalent fractions, then I'll add the numerators and keep the denominators the same, and then I'll simplify or convert into a mixed number if necessary. So I'll go ahead and do the first one that's on your worksheet that I just showed you. So if I have 2/3 plus 1/4. Now sometimes I like to write them vertically. So if you have a piece of paper, you want to write, I think it's easier if you write them on top of each other like that. So the first step is to find a common denominator. Well, remember when we were comparing and ordering, we just write the multiples of both of the denominators. So I'll write 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 4, 8, 12. Ooh, 12 is the same. So that's how I find my common denominator. So now I need to write equivalent fractions that both have the same denominator. So now they'll both have 12. So to do that, I have to think, what did I multiply by? Well, 3 times 4 equals 12. So then I do the top times 4 as well, and I get 8. I will multiply by something different on the bottom. Here, okay, 4 times 3 is 12. So I multiply the top times 3 and I get 3. Now I add the numerators and I keep the denominators the same. 8 plus 3 is 11. Denominator stays 12 because it's just telling me how big my pieces are, that I'm adding 12ths together. Now 11/12 cannot be simplified. I didn't get an improper fraction, so I don't have to convert it. So that is just my answer. Let me show you how that matches the picture. So if I know I'm turning them into 12ths, okay, look, I can say, oh, 1/3 equals 4/12. So if I have 2/3, that's going to equal 8/12 exactly. Now 1/4 equals 3/12. So now I can see that I have 11 of those 12ths. So my answer is 11/12. Now, using the fraction strips for every single problem would be a little challenging and could take a while, but you are absolutely welcome to help use them to find your answers if you want. I'll just show you some more examples using these steps. All right? Here we go. So, 2/4 plus 5/8. So first I need to find a common denominator. Write my multiples of both of my denominators. So you have 4, 8. Oh, look, I didn't even need to write anymore because 8 is here. Well, 8 is this denominator, so then I know I can use 8. This one's just going to stay the same. This one, what do I multiply by? multiply by 2 to write my equivalent fractions. So I have 4/8 plus 5/8. Here I get 9/8. So this is what I'm talking about, how sometimes you get an improper fraction and you need to convert it into a mixed number. So remember, we talked about this in the converting lesson. You can go back and watch it if you need to. I like to use the dividing method. So if I have 9 divided by 8, it goes in, 1 time. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract, I get 1. So I get 1 and 1/8 as my answer. 1 and 1/8 is my improper, or my mixed number as an answer. Let's go ahead and do another example. Before I do though, the mystery word for this one is bleed. Bleed is the mystery word for this. So again, you're continuing on with the math sentence from last week and this week. All right, let's look at this one. So 1/4 plus 2/3. Oh, we just did that one. Just kidding. Sorry. 1/4 plus 9/10. I'm going to switch to a lighter color so I can write over on the side. So if I have 1/4 plus 9, oh goodness, 9/10. Remember, I like to write it vertically, like I suggest you do on your paper. It's going to be helpful to write it down. It took me a long time to do it in my head, so I do not expect you to do it in your head. Write it down. So think, okay, what's our first step? Write equivalent fraction, or find a common denominator. So I have 4 and 10. So let's write out some multiples. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and then 10, 20. 20 is in both lists, so I know I can use 20 as my common denominator. Now I need to write equivalent fractions. So 4 times what equals 20? Well, I can look over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth multiple. So times 5 up on top. So I get 5/20. So then on the bottom, what did I multiply 10 by? Multiply 10 by 2. So I do this times 2, and I get 18/20. So now I can add those together. Add my numerators. 5 plus 18 is 23. My denominator stays the same. So now I need to rewrite this as a mixed number because it is an improper fraction. Well, I know 20/20 is 1 whole, and then I just have 3 more 20ths, so my answer is 1 and 3/20. Now, I am more than happy to go over this problem with you, or do some more problems about fractions, adding fractions with you. If you need more examples, just let me know.